Hi there, and welcome to the second video where it's gaming in the background and it's basically me just talking about my life. In the last video I tried to explain like what this situation was and that I am not really as happy as fulfilled as I want to be. That's mostly the situation that I'm in, and I realized that if I don't start taking action right now to work on that, it's never going to happen, right? It's never going to happen on its own. And that's what this project is all about, is just taking action to become a happier and a more fulfilled person. So that last video was pretty much the setup, explanation of why this project came to be, and from this point forward is where we're going to take action to actually improve my happiness and well, start working on the things I want to do in my life, I guess. And the last video came out a bit more negative than I'd wanted it to be. Especially in the beginning, it may have sounded like I was sad like all the time throughout the day, which is not the case at all. But it was just to get my point across that I'm not as fulfilled in life, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up before we get into this. So this video will be on a much lighter note than the previous one. And there's actually two things I want to talk about in this video. And the first thing is actually that it's a very good thing. It's that I found the answers to all my problems. So it's basically done. Channel's over. We can stop it right here, right? And of course I'm kidding, but in essence it's pretty much true. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the problems that I'm struggling with right now, like for example, you know, having trouble getting to work or working on the projects that I need to be working on, like my thesis, things like that. I have a lot of trouble starting that, and a lot of other problems as well, where I forget things that I need to remember and I want to work on things and I don't work on them. All of these problems are actually problems that I've encountered before, and it may sound very strange, but all of these are problems that I've found the answer to in the past, right? I've struggled with these problems before and I've managed to overcome them. And it's in a really strange way, actually. I'll try to give you an example. Like with my thesis, an example would be like I would be sitting in front of the computer and I had to work on my thesis and I would just be absolutely stuck. Like sometimes you get that in your head where your head feels just full and you can't take in anything else and you don't really know what to do anymore or what direction you want to take the whole project in. And basically at that point you're just stuck. You're just sitting in front of your computer not really doing anything. And that was a problem I encountered a few months back especially. And the thing is, what I did then, I did it one time and I thought about one time, I thought I just have to get away from this computer right now. I'm just completely stuck. I have to get out of this chair. So what I did was I actually got outside and it was very good weather and I actually just took a walk. There's a park really close to where I live and I just took a walk around the park. And I had my headphones on but I didn't have any music on, and just took a walk around the park, and slowly things, like I could just start to digest things, I guess. I was just walking there thinking about the project, and just, I guess, the act of walking, of being in motion and just being away from that computer for a second were really helpful, because it sort of helped me get things straight in my head, right? And it was fucking amazing. I think I walked back then for about 40 minutes and I came back and I knew exactly what I had to do. It was just all the things that were a mess in my head before I got out. Just when I had that time to walk, I had time to straighten it out for myself and realize where I wanted the project to go and what I had to do to get there. So it was awesome. It was great. And I think I did that about 2 times, which was not the smartest move. And this happened with a lot of the things that I've been, like a lot of the problems that I have and the answers that I've found to them. Like for example, what I did was I found it very difficult to start working on school sometimes. When you're just sitting at home and you know, like, oh, I have to work on school right now, but I just can't find the energy to do it. And what I would do for that is actually the day before I would plan in the hours that I had to work on school. So for example, from 10 to 11:30 I would be working on school, and then from 12 to 1, something like that, I would be working on school. And those other times I would have completely to myself. I could do whatever I wanted. But I knew that those times, like from 10 to 11:30, those would be spent on school. And that really helped me, because then instead of thinking, oh, I have to work on school, beforehand you know that you don't have that time to yourself, right? Like from 10 to 11:30 is not free time for me tomorrow. It's when I have to be working. So you can sort of mentally check into that state where you have to start working on school. And when it's like 20 to 10, you already start dumbing down the activities that you're doing, or you're slowing them down, I guess, because you know that in 20 minutes you have to be working. So that's something else that really helped me, and I managed to get a lot more stuff done when applying that than I ever had before. And it was incredible, and I think I managed that for a total of 2 weeks, and then I never did that again. Same thing, like setting an alarm clock beforehand for a very specific thing I had to remember. Incredibly smart thing to do, and it really helped me a lot, because otherwise I would always forget. And again, amazing, never did it again. And I think you get the point where a lot of the troubles that I'm dealing with, a lot of the problems that I have, I found the answers to them, and I'll do them for a short while, and they really tend to work great. And then for some reason, and I just can't understand how this happens, but for some reason I'll just forget it again. Like with going for a walk, that helped me immensely a few times. And then a few weeks later I would get stuck exactly the same as before, and the idea of going for a walk and getting my head straight, it just didn't occur to me, like, at all. I was just sitting there stuck, and I didn't think about, oh, this is the part where I have to get up out of my chair and I have to take a walk. Something that I'd learned before, I'd forgotten again, and it was so incredibly helpful to me that it's so annoying to forget all of it again, because I had that with every problem that I'm facing. Like, I knew a solution to it, but I can't think of the solution when I'm in that problem again, when I'm stuck again. And that is really annoying. So that's, if there's anything I want to change throughout this whole project, it's that when I get stuck, because you know you're going to get stuck on something, on school or whatever. It's just natural. So when I get stuck, that I can just, I guess, check out for a minute, or just pull myself out of that situation for a minute and then figure out what I have to do. Like, for example, take a walk. That I can figure that out, that I can do it, and then come back and see where it gets me, because I know it will help me. But right now I don't have the skills, I guess, to pull myself out of that situation and figure out, oh, this is what I have to do now, because I keep forgetting. So what did I think about doing that, or what did I think about how can I solve that? Well, the first thing I thought about was, in a way, this YouTube channel is sort of a log for myself to keep notes, right? So if I find something that really helps me, I can tell it to you. I can say it on this project, and it will be there forever. So instead of just the idea, instead of it disappearing, it will be here forever. But of course, that won't help me if I don't check the videos again. So what I thought of, what I want to be doing, is I actually bought a small book. It's incredibly small, or not incredibly small, it's small. So I bought that book. It's a dummy is what we call it, and I love it. It has empty pages. I used to use these books all the time, and what I want to be doing is, every time I think of something that works for me, or think of something that I want to try, things like that, or just things about my life in general that I want to spend more time on, I'm going to write it down in that book. So everything I discuss on this channel, everything I think about, is going to be written down in that book. I will always have it with me here on the desk, so it will always be close. And then the idea is that when I get stuck on something, when I have difficulty starting something, for example, I can just take the book, because it's always so close, and just read through that, and then Well, the answer should be in there. Like in the beginning, maybe not, but after doing this for a year, there should be a lot of wisdom in there, right? So I can just take that book and read it, and hopefully that will help me get out of that situation and help me know what to do. So in the beginning, it's going to be pretty empty, but after a year, I expect there will be a lot of good things in there, things that work for me at least, to be in that book. And how do I want to make it so that it becomes a habit for me to actually read that book? It's just keeping it close all the time, like it will always be on my desk in eyesight, so it will always be this close. And also just to force myself to read it like every other 2 or 3 days. Just read through it, just scroll through it, and just keep it in my brain. Keep all that wisdom, all those things that I'm figuring out for myself. Just keep them active, I guess. So yeah, that is the first step. It's so incredibly simple. It's just taking a book and write everything that you think about, write everything down in it, and most importantly, I guess, read through the book every now and then. It's the first step. It's incredibly simple, but I think it will help me immensely just by keeping those things, like taking a walk, keeping them active in my brain. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to be talking about. Now the second thing, there's also something else I wanted to be talking about, and that is, I guess, one of the problems that I'm facing, or one of the things that I want to change about myself, is that I never spend time working on what I want to be working on, is the short version. And there are a lot of things that I absolutely love doing. Like I have I'm the kind of guy who has a lot of projects always running, something like this, that I love working on it, but I don't work on this, even something like this, as much as I want to be, right? A lot of times, a lot of days, I don't work on this at all. And there's also a lot of other things, like I want to learn to play the guitar, so I'm working on that sometimes, and I want to learn Spanish, so I'm working on that sometimes, but all these things I'm working on not as much as I want to be. And sometimes it gets really frustrating, especially with projects related to your future, right? Like, say this channel, it has to do with psychology, so I know it's something that I really want to work on, and I want to see it grow. And it's a project that's really close to me, and it's extremely fulfilling, but somehow I barely spend any time on this at all, and it's it can get so frustrating. It's like, hey, it's like someone saying, would you like to work on this project that you absolutely love and it's extremely fulfilling to be working on? Would you like to be working on that? And you're like, that sounds fucking amazing, but I have to decline. It's like, brain, what are you doing? Why don't I work on this more? And I think I found one of the reasons, at least, and that is that, especially after a day of work, when I get home, I am just tired. You spend 8 hours a day working, and then when you get home, at least when I get home, you have dinner, and then I just have to sit down for a while. Just sit down and relax, I guess, because as cool as these projects are to be working on, like this channel and playing guitar, stuff like that, it's amazing to be working on, but it takes up a lot of energy. It's difficult, these projects, you never really know how you have to be what the next step is, like learning guitar. What do I do next, right? What do I have to do next? And same with making these videos. What do I want to talk about next, and how am I going to make sure it's interesting? So they're difficult, they take up energy, and projects like this, the most rewarding projects in the long run, they are not always immediately rewarding, right? When I work on a video, like for YouTube, there are also some other projects that I really wanted to be working on, like this may sound incredibly stupid, but I'll take it as an example. There was a video, or I wanted to create a video about lighthouses in our country, and working on these videos, I found it incredibly rewarding after I'd done it. Like, for example, I was writing the script. I had to voice. How do you say? I had to record the script, and I had to find audio for the background. I had to find materials for the video. And working on that afterwards, it was extremely rewarding. Like when I'd finished a part of the script, for example, extremely rewarding. But when I was working on it at that time, it was incredibly difficult because you're constantly struggling. It's constantly difficult. And even those projects that I really loved, they did take up a lot of energy. And that sometimes is just the energy that I don't have left, especially after a work day, where I guess I just want to sit back and just do nothing for a while. Just sit back and watch TV or game or watch YouTube videos, something simple that doesn't really require any mental effort, I guess. And the way I see it right now, and I'm not sure if this is the correct way to look at it, but it is the way I'm looking at it right now. The thing about this project is this might change later, but this is how I view it right now, is that stuff like that, it's sort of like a muscle, in that you have to train it. And right now I'm not trained at all to work on those projects that I love. And that's why I never work on them, because when I'm tired, I don't have the strength or the discipline to work on it. Even if it's just for 30 minutes, I don't do it. Well, I want to be doing it, but I don't do it because I just don't have that strength yet. And what I want to do concerning this is, treating it like a muscle. And how do you treat a muscle? Well, you have to train it. And when training it, you start really small. You start just above what the muscle can take. And in my case, let's just say it can't take a lot. It can't take a lot, sorry. It's just, working on something 30 minutes is probably something I could do. Working on something 1 hour, that would be above my my level right now. But that is something that I want to do. And it's sort of how to start this is going back to something that I've talked about, just before, is instead of thinking I want to be working on this but never doing it, what I want to be doing now is planning in those hours beforehand. So say, for example, in the beginning of the week or on a Sunday, I would just say, next week I'm gonna spend 2 hours on this project that I really want to be working on, and I'm gonna spend 1 hour on it on Tuesday evening and 1 hour on it on Saturday afternoon. I don't know, it's just an example. And be specific with those hours, like I'm gonna work on this Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., whatever. Just planning in those hours, and then hopefully the thing that I experienced before starts to kick in, where beforehand you're like, oh yeah, this from 8 to 9 p.m. that's when I have to be working on this. And just start in short bursts, like 30 minutes or an hour, because you won't get much done in 1 week, but you'll get something done. It's more than what I've ever done. It's more than if you don't do anything at all. So at least in that case, it's an improvement. And if it does work, if you do start to train it, then maybe later on you can take more hours in a single week. So that's something that I want to be working on. Strangely, I haven't really thought about what the project is that I want to try this with first. There are a few things that I do, a few projects that I really love working on, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to take yet. So that might be something for the next video. It might even be just working on this channel, right? If I find that I have difficulty making another video, the first project that I'll take is this channel. So taking the example like Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m., I'll be working on this channel. I'll be figuring out what are things that I'm running into and how can I fix them, and how can I, I guess also working on what I want to talk about on this channel and things like that. So that is what I'm going to take for the first project, right? So next week, just 2 hours working on that project, and they're going to be planned in. And I'm going to write this down in the book as well, obviously. So yeah, I guess it's two things. It's about 20 minutes. Should be long enough for the second video. Let's not do too much all at once. So it's two things that I want to be working on. I want to keep remembering the things that have helped me before, and how I'm going to do that is by keeping that book. And I'll try to put a picture on here of the type of book that I bought, just because, you know, then you can see it. You'll have an image of what type of book I'm talking about. So yeah, just writing in that everything that I discover on this channel, I'm going to write in there, and I'm just going to look through the book every now and then, especially when I get stuck. That's part one. Part two, I want to start working on those projects. So things like this channel, I want to start working on them more actively. So what I'm going to do is, in the beginning of the week, I'm going to plan in, for starters, I'm going to plan in 2 hours to work on these projects. And they'll be planned in like that day, that time, that's when you'll spend an hour on that, and this time is when you'll be spending the second hour. And then at least that will keep me going, working on the projects, and hopefully, like a muscle, I'll start to train it, and I'll be able to take on more hours later on. But yeah, I guess you'll have to skip to future videos to see if that actually worked or not, because right now I don't even know. Yeah, again, if you stayed all the way to the end, thank you so much for listening to me ramble, I guess. And yeah, those are the things I want to be working on now, and I have no idea what the next video is going to be about, but I guess you'll see that when I post it next time.